You hear people say they want freedom all the time. Freedom from pressure, from expectations, from work, from responsibility, whatever it is that feels heavy in the moment. But if you really think about it, freedom isn't light at all. Freedom is heavy. Because once you're truly free, there's no one left to run your life but you. There's no structure to hide behind, no authority to blame if things don't work out, no clear path already laid down in front of you. It's just your decisions, your discipline, and whatever consequences come from them. And for a lot of people, that's not exciting. It's terrifying. Erich Fromm wrote about this decades ago. He said that when people are faced with real freedom, the kind where you're responsible for your own direction, they often don't step into it. They look for ways to escape it. Not consciously, not dramatically, just in quiet, understandable ways that make life feel more manageable. He noticed 3 patterns that show up again and again. The first one is attaching yourself to power. If you feel uncertain about your own ability to steer your life, it's incredibly comforting to connect yourself to something that feels strong and stable. That could be a company, a movement, a belief system, even just a very dominant personality. You start to adopt its direction as your own. You tell yourself you believe in it, and maybe you genuinely do, but there's also relief in not having to figure everything out alone. When someone else is making the big decisions, when the rules are already written, you don't have to carry the full weight of responsibility. You just have to play your role well. A lot of men live this way for years, not because they're weak, but because certainty feels safer than standing alone with the possibility of being wrong. The second pattern goes in the opposite direction. Instead of attaching to structure, some people reject it completely. If the system feels suffocating, they burn it down, quit abruptly, walk away from stability, convince themselves that none of it mattered anyway. In the moment, it can feel like taking control, like finally breaking free. But a lot of times, what's really happening is relief. If nothing matters, you don't have to carry the pressure of building something meaningful. Chaos lowers expectations. You don't have to be consistent, patient, or disciplined, because there's no long-term structure to hold together. It looks like bold independence from the outside, but inside it's often just exhaustion looking for an exit. The third one is quieter, and honestly, it's the one you see the most. People don't revolt, and they don't cling to power. They just gradually blend in. They absorb the expectations around them, adopt the goals everyone else seems to be chasing, and stop asking themselves whether those goals actually belong to them. They become dependable, responsible, steady, all good things on the surface. Their life looks stable, but internally, there's this low-grade sense that something is missing. Not dramatic unhappiness, just a feeling that the person they were supposed to become slowly got replaced by the role they needed to play. Provider men are especially vulnerable to this one, because stability isn't optional when people rely on you. You don't get to experiment recklessly when a family needs consistency. So you show up, you carry the load, you do what's required, and over time it becomes harder to separate what you chose from what you inherited. Fromm's point wasn't that freedom is bad or that structure is bad. It was that real freedom requires maturity. The ability to carry responsibility without handing your life over to someone else, without destroying what you built, and without disappearing into whatever the crowd happens to be doing. The long game path sits somewhere in the middle of all that. It's not dramatic and it doesn't happen overnight. You don't quit your life. You don't announce some big transformation. You just start quietly building strength where you are. You reduce unnecessary pressure, create a little more breathing room, make decisions that give you options later instead of relief right now. Over time, you become less trapped, not because the structure disappeared, but because you grew into someone who can stand inside it without losing yourself. Freedom isn't about having no responsibilities. It's about being strong enough to carry the ones you choose. And most people never get there, not because they're incapable, but because escaping is always easier than becoming. That's the long game.